Hello, dear friend, and blessings to you today. I believe with all my heart that you're here for a very special reason. Right at this moment, you're standing on the edge of an incredible breakthrough. If you're feeling stuck, burdened, or as if you're wading through stormy waters, know that these challenges are not signs of defeat. They are powerful markers that God is testing you, preparing you for something extraordinary. Have you ever found yourself facing obstacles that seem impossible to overcome? Perhaps a weighty financial crisis, a heartbreaking loss, or even the crushing loneliness of a broken relationship has made you question the path ahead. I want you to know that these trials are not random acts of misfortune. They are, in fact, divine tests. A process designed by God to strengthen your faith, refine your character, and ultimately lead you to a life-changing breakthrough. Picture the great biblical stories that inspire us. The fearless young shepherd who took on a giant with nothing but faith, or the steadfast disciple who stepped out onto turbulent waters, trusting completely in Jesus. In these moments, our heroes faced overwhelming odds. Yet they held fast to the belief that God was working through every trial. That same divine presence is with you now. In this message, we're going to explore 5 distinct signs that you are being tested by God. Each sign is a signpost on your journey toward the breakthrough you so deeply desire. Whether it's the daunting challenge of facing your personal giants, wrestling with relentless temptations, or being called to make sacrifices that stretch your very limits, each experience is a sacred stepping stone. They're not meant to break you. They're meant to build you up, to shape you into the person God created you to be. Think about the moments when you felt the intense pull of a challenge, when your heart cried out for help, and yet somehow you found a spark of strength inside you. Those sparks are the unmistakable fingerprints of God's refining work in your life. They remind you that every trial, every test, is an opportunity to grow stronger in faith and to witness the unfolding of His divine plan. As you listen to these words, I invite you to open your heart and lean into the promise that your breakthrough is nearer than you think. Let go of any fear or doubt. Trust that God is orchestrating everything perfectly for your good. With every challenge you face, know that He is there, guiding you, protecting you, and preparing you for the amazing future that awaits. Are you ready to discover the 5 signs that reveal how God is testing you before your breakthrough? Stay with me, and let's walk through this journey together. When you find yourself staring down what seem to be insurmountable obstacles, know that these giants are not there to defeat you. They're there to prepare you for the breakthrough ahead. Picture the moments when life has thrown a challenge so overwhelming that it felt like every hope was slipping away. It might be a sudden financial setback that leaves you questioning how you'll provide for your family, or the heartache of losing someone dear, or even the pressure of an unexpected crisis that shakes your very foundation. In those moments, you're facing a giant. Consider the story of a young man who lost his job just when his bills were piling up. The fear of not being able to support his loved ones was paralyzing. But as he knelt in prayer one evening, a thought struck him. Perhaps this struggle was not a punishment, but a preparation, a test of his resilience and trust in God. That night, instead of succumbing to despair, he decided to face his giant head-on, leaning on prayer and seeking guidance through Scripture. Slowly, opportunities began to emerge. New connections were made, and a path that he hadn't considered before started to appear. His breakthrough wasn't immediate, but the process of facing his giants molded him, strengthening his character and deepening his faith. When you face these giants, remember that the battle isn't about using your own strength alone. The key is in acknowledging that these challenges are designed to reveal your inner fortitude and reliance on God. Think of David, a young shepherd boy who saw a giant that no one else dared confront. With nothing but a simple sling and unyielding faith, David stepped forward. He understood that the giant before him wasn't a sign of weakness or failure. It was an opportunity. His declaration as he faced the warrior wasn't filled with bravado, but with the power of trust. You come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." In that moment, his faith turned a seemingly impossible situation into a resounding victory. Every giant in your life has a purpose. They test your ability to stand firm when the storm rages around you. When it feels like you're battling alone against an overwhelming force, remember that you are not isolated. God watches every struggle, and every giant you face is an invitation to deepen your reliance on Him. Whether it's a business setback, a fractured relationship, or a personal loss that leaves you feeling insignificant, these moments are reminders that you're not meant to conquer these challenges by your own might. Instead, you're called to approach them with a humble heart, ready to release your burdens and let God's strength carry you through. Imagine the feeling when you finally decide to surrender that overwhelming fear. It starts with a small, brave step, choosing to believe that there is a plan behind the chaos. It might mean accepting help from friends or family, or it might mean turning to prayer and letting the words of Scripture be your shield. In these moments of surrender, you're not admitting defeat. You're affirming that God's power is greater than any obstacle you face. Each time you call upon His name in the midst of your giant, you invite His presence into that space, transforming the fear into a source of strength. It's important to recognize that the giants you face aren't meant to break your spirit. They're there to forge a stronger, more resilient you. Every time you overcome a giant, no matter how small the victory may seem at the time, you're one step closer to the breakthrough that awaits. These moments test your faith, teach you lessons in patience, and help you understand that setbacks are temporary. They are the refining fires that prepare you for greater blessings down the road. In your day-to-day life, you might experience these giants in many forms. Perhaps it's the challenge of balancing multiple jobs while caring for your family, or the strain of dealing with a difficult relationship that leaves you emotionally drained. Even when the problem seems too big to handle, pause and look at it from a different perspective. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow stronger through this experience? That simple shift in mindset can make all the difference. Instead of seeing a giant as a barrier, you begin to view it as a stepping stone, a necessary part of your journey toward a greater destiny. Every giant is a signal from above, a test to see how far your faith can carry you, a challenge to help you grow in ways you never imagined possible. The struggles you face today are setting the stage for tomorrow's breakthrough. Remember, the very act of confronting these giants with courage and determination is a declaration that you are ready for more. You're ready to leave behind the old ways of coping with fear and uncertainty and step boldly into the future that God has prepared for you. So the next time you face a giant, take a deep breath and choose faith over fear. Stand tall knowing that every obstacle is not just a test, but a transformative moment that is shaping you for the breakthrough that's on its way. Let your response be one of courage and resilience. Speak words of faith and determination over your struggles. Allow yourself to be transformed by the process, knowing that with every challenge, you're being prepared for the incredible things God has in store. Your giants, however daunting they may seem now, are paving the way for the life-changing breakthrough you've been praying for. Embrace them, learn from them, and trust that every battle fought in the Spirit is a victory in the making. With each step forward, you're proving that you are stronger than your circumstances, that you are capable of rising above the storm, and that your faith is the key that will unlock the door to your breakthrough. When life strips away the comforts you once relied on, it can feel like you've been cast into a barren desert with nothing but scorching heat and endless sand. It is in these moments of isolation and vulnerability that the voice of temptation grows louder, echoing across the emptiness. Yet this very desolation is not a punishment. It's a sacred testing ground where your spirit is challenged and strengthened. Imagine a time when you found yourself standing in a moment of extreme vulnerability, where the path forward was shrouded in uncertainty. Perhaps it was when you were facing a crisis that left you questioning your own worth, or when relentless temptations crept in, offering an escape that promised relief but threatened to derail your destiny. In these harsh, desert-like moments, you're being tested, and every temptation you encounter is a sign that a breakthrough is near. Think about the story of Jesus during his time in the wilderness. After leaving behind the comfort of familiarity, he ventured into a harsh, empty place where every step was a battle against hunger, thirst, and isolation. In that quiet, desolate expanse, the devil came to tempt him, offering shortcuts, empty promises, and distractions from his divine mission. When faced with the allure of quick fixes, Jesus responded with unwavering resolve, anchoring his spirit in the truth of Scripture. His experience in the desert wasn't a mere ordeal. It was a powerful demonstration of faith in the midst of temptation. Your desert may not be as dramatic as that of ancient times, but its essence remains the same. It might be the struggle with habits that pull you away from your true purpose, whether that's overspending to fill a void, indulging in anger when it's easier to lash out, or even giving in to the lure of procrastination that keeps you from pursuing your dreams. When temptation rears its head, it often disguises itself as an offer of instant relief. It says, "Let go of your worries, take this easy road." These temptations are subtle yet persistent, whispering that there is a way to bypass the pain, a way to escape the grind of everyday struggles. But every time you notice that whisper, remember that it's a test, a moment to reaffirm your commitment to the greater plan that God has in store for you. When temptation rears its head, it often disguises itself as an offer of instant relief. It says, "Let go of your worries, take this easy road." But deep down, you know that true solace comes from standing firm in your faith, from turning away from that tempting shortcut, and instead embracing the journey that promises transformation. Consider the moments when you resisted that urge to indulge in something that wasn't aligned with your values, whether it was saying no to a fleeting pleasure or choosing to invest time in prayer instead of succumbing to distraction. Those moments are victories. They are small affirmations that your spirit is capable of withstanding the harshness of the desert and emerging even stronger. Each act of resisting temptation is like a spark in the darkness, a beacon that signals the arrival of something greater. It is in the silence of your heart, when the external noise fades away, that you hear the whisper of your own resilience. That inner voice, bolstered by faith and the strength of prayer, becomes your guide through the desert. As you stand on the edge of giving in, take a deep breath and remember that God is with you. Trust that the very challenges you face are meant to refine you. The same desert that tests your will also nurtures your spirit, pushing you to dig deeper and uncover reserves of strength you never knew you had. Visualize yourself in that barren landscape, feeling the heat of temptation, but also the cool reassurance of divine guidance. It's in these moments that you learn to rely on something beyond your own capabilities, a force that turns every trial into a stepping stone toward your breakthrough. The struggle against temptation is not a sign of weakness. It is a testament to your inner strength and your willingness to hold on to your faith despite the harsh winds that threaten to knock you down. Remember, every time you face a temptation and choose to stand firm, you're not just resisting a momentary desire, you're affirming your commitment to the life you're destined to live. Each victory over temptation is a proof of your ability to overcome, a clear signal that the breakthrough you're striving for is on the horizon. It's a reminder that your journey is not defined by the temptations you face, but by the courage with which you rise above them. So when you find yourself alone in the desert of challenges, let that be a moment of clarity. Let the silence of that place speak to you, urging you to turn inward and reconnect with your faith. Stand strong, knowing that each temptation is a test, one that, when overcome, draws you ever closer to the breakthrough that awaits. Embrace these trials as opportunities to refine your spirit, to let your inner light shine brighter against the dark backdrop of temptation. As you navigate this desert, remember, every step of resistance is a step toward the breakthrough. Each time you say no to the lure of an easier path, you're choosing the journey that leads to profound transformation and divine fulfillment. Keep your eyes on the horizon, trust in the process, and know that with every act of courage, you are being molded into the person God has destined you to become. Sometimes the path to a breakthrough demands that we let go of what we hold dear. The call to sacrifice is not about loss for loss's sake. It's about making space for the abundant blessings that God has prepared for you. Imagine the weight on your shoulders as you balance work, family, and personal dreams. Now envision a moment when you're gently nudged to give up something that, although valuable, is holding you back from a greater purpose. That is the divine invitation to sacrifice, a test of your willingness to trust in something far greater than yourself. Think back to a time when you had to choose between comfort and potential growth. Maybe it was deciding to leave a secure but unfulfilling job, or perhaps it was letting go of a relationship that no longer nurtured your spirit. In those moments, the call to sacrifice might have felt like stepping off a well-worn path into the unknown. Yet it's exactly in that leap of faith that you begin to discover the true extent of God's provision. Consider the example of the Apostle Paul, whose life was a tapestry of sacrifices made in the pursuit of spreading hope and truth. Despite facing imprisonments, beatings, and countless hardships, Paul never wavered from his mission. His sacrifices were not burdens, they were stepping stones that built his character and deepened his connection to the divine. Like Paul, every time you choose to give up something, be it time, comfort, or even personal pride, you are aligning yourself with a higher purpose. The call to sacrifice often comes disguised in the everyday demands of life. It might be the small act of choosing to dedicate time to prayer when distractions beckon, or the decision to offer help to a friend despite your own busy schedule. These acts, though seemingly minor, are profound expressions of faith. Each sacrifice is a declaration. I trust that God's plan is more valuable than my own desires. It's a commitment to put His will above your own, knowing that every relinquished piece creates room for His blessings. Imagine a moment where you're faced with the temptation to cling to what's familiar, a secure job, an easy relationship, a comfortable routine. Deep within you sense that clinging to these may be hindering your growth. The call to sacrifice whispers, "Let go, so I can fill your life with something far greater." It's not about losing what you have, it's about gaining the wisdom, strength, and breakthroughs that come with surrender. Sacrifice transforms your struggles into opportunities, molding you into a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. You might recall the story of a devoted parent who, despite the chaos of everyday life, makes the difficult choice to spend a few quiet moments in prayer each morning. This act of sacrifice, though small in the grand scheme of things, ripples out to impact the entire family. The calm and centered energy that results creates an environment where love and understanding flourish. In the same way, when you sacrifice a part of your own time or resources for the sake of a higher calling, whether that means volunteering at your church, supporting a charitable cause, or even forgiving someone who has hurt you, you are actively participating in God's work. These moments of sacrifice serve as powerful reminders that God's testing isn't meant to drain you. It's designed to strengthen your spirit and prepare you for the breakthrough that is waiting on the horizon. It's important to understand that sacrifice is a two-way street. While you give up something, you also gain a deeper sense of purpose and fulfillment. The process of sacrificing your own comfort for the benefit of others is transformative. It opens your heart to empathy, enhances your resilience, and solidifies your faith. Each sacrifice you make is a seed planted in the fertile soil of your spiritual life, one that will eventually blossom into a breakthrough of unimaginable abundance. Picture a moment when you decided to set aside your personal ambitions to support a friend in need. At first, the act might have seemed like a loss, a diversion from your own goals, but over time that sacrifice created a ripple effect. Not only did your friend find strength and healing, but you too discovered untapped reserves of compassion and inner strength. That experience, though challenging at the time, became a defining moment in your journey toward breakthrough. The sacrifices we make are never in vain. They are the markers of our growth, the proofs of our faith, and the building blocks of our future victories. When you face a call to sacrifice, whether it's sacrificing your time, your resources, or even your pride, remember that you're stepping into a realm of possibility that far outweighs any temporary discomfort. You're choosing to believe that God's plan for you is worth every sacrifice, and that each act of letting go is an act of letting God in. As you continue on this path, keep in mind that every sacrifice is a profound opportunity for spiritual renewal. When you look back on these moments, you'll see that each one was a deliberate part of your preparation for the breakthrough. They are not setbacks, but setups for a future filled with hope, prosperity, and divine favor. Hold fast to this truth. When you sacrifice today, you pave the way for a tomorrow filled with promise. Let the call to sacrifice become a catalyst for transformation, reminding you that every loss has the potential to lead to a greater gain. Embrace these moments with a heart full of faith, knowing that with every sacrifice you are being molded into the person God has always envisioned you to be. Imagine standing before a blazing fire that seems to consume everything in its path. Now envision that instead of destruction, that fire is transforming you, purifying and reshaping you from the inside out. This is the power of the refining fire, a divine process that tests and purifies your spirit, much like how precious metals are refined in a furnace to remove all impurities. There are times in life when the challenges you face feel like an all-consuming blaze, burning away the layers of who you thought you were. Whether it's a painful loss, a deep personal failure, or overwhelming criticism, these moments often leave you feeling raw and exposed. Yet it is precisely in these moments of intense trial that God's refining fire is at work. Instead of destroying you, it is purifying you, removing what is unnecessary and strengthening the qualities that truly matter. Consider the ancient imagery of the refiner who heats metal until it melts, allowing the impurities to rise to the surface. In the same way, God uses life's trials to reveal the gold within you. Every hardship, every moment when you feel tested, is an opportunity for growth. It's as if God is saying, I'm burning away your fears, your doubts, and the parts of you that no longer serve my purpose. And in that process you emerge more resilient, more focused, and more aligned with the divine plan. Reflect on the story of Job, a man who faced unimaginable losses and suffering. Despite losing everything, Job's faith remained unshaken because he understood that his trials were part of a larger, divine refining process. His perseverance and trust in God, even in the midst of relentless pain, eventually led to his restoration and a deeper understanding of God's unwavering love. Job's journey is a powerful reminder that the refining fire, though painful, is a critical step toward a more abundant life. In your own life, the refining fire may manifest as moments when you face severe opposition or internal struggles that force you to confront your weaknesses. Perhaps you've experienced setbacks at work that shook your confidence, or personal betrayals that left you questioning your worth. These experiences, though incredibly painful, are also opportunities. They compel you to dig deep, to seek God's wisdom, and to allow His transformative power to work within you. When you feel overwhelmed by the heat of life's challenges, try to see it as an invitation to let go of what no longer serves you. Maybe it's a harmful habit, a toxic relationship, or limiting beliefs that keep you from reaching your full potential. The refining fire is urging you to release those burdens so that you can be remolded into a version of yourself that is stronger, purer, and more capable of embracing the breakthrough that lies ahead. This process isn't always comfortable. In fact, it often feels like you're being pushed to your very limits. But remember the promise found in 1 Peter 1:7, which speaks of the testing of your faith by fire, an experience that results in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed. Every trial you endure is not a mark of failure, but a testament to your journey toward becoming more like the person God intended you to be. The refining fire, though harsh at times, is a necessary part of your transformation. Embrace those moments of intense challenge as opportunities to learn, to grow, and to trust more deeply in God's plan for you. Instead of resisting the heat, allow yourself to be reshaped by it. The process may be slow and painful, but with every trial, you are becoming more refined, more resilient, and more capable of withstanding future storms. It is through these experiences that you develop the strength to rise above adversity and step into the breakthrough that God has prepared. Think about the times when you've looked back and realized that what once seemed like unbearable pain was actually a turning point, a moment that sparked a new beginning. Those instances are the unmistakable marks of the refining fire. They remind you that every struggle has a purpose, every challenge has a hidden blessing, and every trial is a stepping stone to a breakthrough that is far greater than you ever imagined. Allow the refining fire to remind you that you are not defined by your difficulties, but by how you overcome them. Each trial you face and each moment of discomfort is a powerful lesson in humility, perseverance, and faith. Trust that God is with you, even when the flames seem to consume everything around you. His love and guidance will help you emerge from the fire not as a broken shell, but as a polished, resilient individual, ready to embrace the fullness of the breakthrough that awaits. As you move forward, hold on to the truth that every refining moment is a part of your divine preparation. With each challenge, you are being molded, your spirit strengthened, and your character purified. The refining fire may be intense, but it is also a powerful agent of transformation. It is a clear sign that God is not only testing you, but preparing you for the breakthrough that is closer than you think. Let the fire purify you, let it shape you, and let it propel you toward a future filled with hope, resilience, and divine promise. Your breakthrough is being forged in the heat of these trials, and soon you will emerge as the refined, empowered individual God intended you to be. There are moments when the path before you isn't clearly marked, when the destination remains unseen. In these times, your true measure is revealed through acts of faith. Acts of faith aren't about having all the answers. They're about stepping into the unknown with trust that God is guiding every step. When you choose to act on faith, you're saying yes to possibilities beyond what your eyes can see, and in doing so, you pave the way for breakthroughs that will transform your life. Consider the courageous steps taken by those who have dared to trust God despite overwhelming uncertainty. Perhaps you've experienced a time when you had to leave behind the security of the familiar, a steady job, a comfortable routine, or even a relationship that, though safe, no longer aligned with your higher purpose. It's in these moments of decision that your act of faith becomes a powerful declaration of trust. Even when fear and doubt attempt to hold you back, you choose to move forward, believing that God's plan is far greater than your current circumstances. Reflect on the story of Peter, who stepped out of the boat and began to walk on water. His journey wasn't without stumbles. As soon as his gaze shifted from the encouraging presence of Christ to the tumultuous wind, fear crept in, and he began to sink. Yet even in that moment, Jesus reached out and steadied him, reminding him that the act of stepping out in faith was enough to keep him afloat. Acts of faith, whether grand or subtle, echo that same truth. Trust in God is the foundation upon which miracles are built. In your daily life, acts of faith can be as simple as extending a helping hand to someone in need, speaking words of encouragement when the world feels harsh, or even choosing to pray when the situation seems overwhelming. These actions may appear small, but they are mighty. Each act of faith is a step forward on the journey of spiritual growth, a sign that you're ready to move beyond your limitations and embrace the abundant future God has prepared for you. Imagine standing at a crossroads, with one path paved with uncertainty and the other illuminated by the promise of God's provision. The choice may seem daunting, but every act of faith is a leap toward that divine light. When you face financial struggles, for example, it might mean trusting that God will meet your needs even when the bank balance is low. When you're dealing with health challenges, it might mean stepping out in faith to seek not only healing, but a renewed perspective on life. In relationships, it might mean opening your heart, even when past hurts whisper that it's safer to shut down. Every time you choose to trust, whether by reaching out, by forgiving, or by simply moving forward despite fear, you're taking an act of faith that signals to the world and to God that you believe in a brighter tomorrow. Acts of faith often require you to step out of your comfort zone. They might involve risking failure or facing criticism from those who can't see the vision you hold. Yet it is in these courageous moments that your trust in God is tested and proven. When you decide to invest your time, your energy, or your resources into something that aligns with a higher calling, you're not just making a decision, you're declaring that your life is more than your circumstances. You are declaring that God's promise is greater than any fear or limitation that may try to hold you back. Take a moment to recall a time when you acted on faith. Perhaps you initiated a project that seemed destined to fail, or maybe you reached out to a stranger when the world around you was filled with barriers. In those moments, when doubt and fear hovered on the edge, you chose to step forward with conviction. And often those steps, however small, set in motion a chain of events that culminated in breakthroughs, unforeseen blessings that transformed your life in ways you never imagined. Acts of faith are also a reflection of your relationship with God. They're an outward expression of an inward trust. When you decide to act on faith, you invite God's intervention into every aspect of your life. It's a powerful reminder that you are not alone. The Creator who knows every detail of your journey is with you, guiding you, protecting you, and preparing you for something greater. Even in moments when your act of faith doesn't immediately yield the results you hoped for, trust that every effort is a part of a larger divine tapestry. Sometimes the impact of your faith isn't visible right away. It might be a seed planted that takes time to blossom. But rest assured, every genuine act of faith contributes to the eventual breakthrough that God has meticulously crafted for your life. So when you find yourself at the edge of decision, remember that every bold step you take is an act of faith that brings you closer to the breakthrough waiting just beyond the horizon. Let your heart be bold and your spirit unyielding as you choose to trust in the promises of God. Declare with confidence, "Today I step out in faith," knowing that with every act you're aligning yourself with a destiny filled with hope, resilience, and divine favor. As you walk this path, let your acts of faith become a testament to the transformative power of trust. Every time you overcome a moment of hesitation, you prove to yourself and to the world that God's plan is working through you. Your breakthrough is not just a distant dream, it's an emerging reality, nurtured by every courageous act of faith that you commit to day by day. Thank you for journeying through these signs with me. Every word, every phrase, from facing giants and resisting temptation to answering the call to sacrifice, enduring the refining fire and taking bold acts of faith, reveals how God is actively testing and preparing you for your breakthrough. May you continue to see these signs in your life and embrace them as steps toward a future filled with divine promise.